Woo! Today is a big day, folks. It is officially a wrap on the Stratos boat build. This is probably gonna be the last video that we're gonna really be doing anything to this boat. And then from here on out, we're gonna be testing it on the actual water. Before we pull it out and show you guys everything that we did, we gotta install this bad boy right here. This is that center console that I was telling you guys about. So let's install this bad boy and get right to it. So if you guys didn't check out the last video, I made these custom seats and we got them installed. If you guys have a bass boat, you'll know that most bass boats have like a big bench seat. I didn't want to go with that. I'm not a huge fan of that, and when you step on it, it ends up ruining the upholstery anyways. So my idea was to put some sort of center console in here, but before I went ahead and tried to make one myself, I hit up my boys over at TB Nation, and of course, they have the perfect product to seat right in there. I kid you guys not, they had the exact size fit on the website. I don't know how they do it, but they always get it done. So check it out. My boy Nate over at TBN sent this out for me to show you guys and to install in my boat. These are center consoles that are made in a few different sizes. You can pretty much fit any boat out there on the market, and these things are just insane quality. This thing is completely rugged. It's all powder coated, welded aluminum. It really doesn't get much better quality than this. You have stainless steel cup holders, and when you open up the latch, you can put all your belongings in there, wallets, cell phones, you name it. And then to finish it all off, it's wrapped in SeaDek. If you guys want one of these, I'll leave a link in the description below, and I'll even leave a code for you guys to get a little bit of a discount. These things are amazing. I know a lot of guys were asking, and I'm super fortunate that TBN sent one out to me. So we're gonna go ahead and show you guys how to install this thing. It's as simple as 4 screws, but before we get to that, I'm gonna be installing my custom SeaDek. I got these made for the center console. I'm still waiting on the one for the cup holders, but honestly, the black and brown doesn't look too bad. It kind of fits the theme of the boat. So we're gonna go ahead, peel the old SeaDek off. I just wanted to show you guys, if you order them on the site, this is exactly how they come, all black out like this. So let's get this SeaDek on, and then we'll get this thing installed. This SeaDek is actually amazing. It's so sticky, it's insane. But somehow it doesn't leave much residue behind. Oh my gosh, it's insane. Babe, I might need you to hold this. Oh my God. All right, well that was tough to get off, but we're gonna go ahead and throw the SeaDek on. Shout out Nate for teaching me this. Beautiful. All right, so 2 things before we install this that I want to point out if you guys end up with one of these. On the bottom, there are 4 holes. Those holes are drain holes in case you get water in here, so do not put screws straight through there. The other thing you're gonna notice is there is a wall in here. A lot of people probably wonder, oh, why are you wasting so much unused space? Well, once again, that's for the purpose of water. It's almost inevitable to keep water out of your cup holders, so they just wanted a way to make sure that you can keep all your safe belongings completely waterproof. So that's the best way to do it. Another thing, I'm gonna go ahead and point this out right now. If you're gonna buy one of these and put it in your boat, make sure you do research on your boat. My boat, I'm good to go, but Rangers and some other boats, the older designs have a gas tank that goes underneath your seat right here. So make sure you check with the manufacturer that when you go to screw this guy in, that you're not screwing directly into your gas tank. Once you do all that, you're gonna buy the size that you want. This guy's gonna fit perfectly snug. Boom. And we're just gonna put screws right in here to mount it. I'm gonna use self-tapping 3/4 inch screws. This should be plenty. You don't want anything too crazy. Boom. And bam, we are installed. That sucker's in there good. Mine's a little tight in between the seats, but I honestly installed the seats and then thought about the center console after. So the fact that it fits in there that snug is amazing. I'm totally content. So that is it. That's gonna put a wrap on everything that I planned on doing for this boat. So let's take this thing outside and do a full recap, show you guys everything that we did, because I did quite a few things off camera as well. But we're just gonna do a full breeze over on the boat for those of you who wanna see just everything that we did start to finish. So we're gonna go over the entire boat from tip to tail. I'll tell you guys exactly how much it costs. Truthfully, I haven't totaled it up myself, And honestly, guys, I just got married last weekend, so let's hope by the end of this video I'm not divorced. All right, so let's get to it. So if you guys are new here and maybe you're just coming across this video for the first time, to give you a quick backstory, I bought this boat 11 months ago. It was very neglected. We turned around and turned it into one of the best YouTube boat builds anybody's ever seen. This boat has pretty much nothing original to it except for the fiberglass body, but we're gonna go through this whole thing from tip to tail and exactly how much it costs to do everything that we did here. So right here in the front, you guys will notice I have a Minn Kota trolling motor. I didn't go crazy with the trolling motor. Everybody wanted me to do a Tarova or something just magnificent. Honestly, guys, I'm completely content with the Minn Kota Edge that we have right here, and I got it for free. I had a Tiller Minn Kota that some guy on Facebook Marketplace actually traded me for a foot pedal, so it was a complete even trade. I got this trolling motor completely for free, so that checked off in the book. Then coming off of the trolling motor, we have our mounts and our graph. I didn't want to go too crazy with all the graphs and stuff. I didn't have a big budget, so we went with a Garmin 93 SV, and this runs off of a black box that's in the compartment up here, followed by a LVS 32 transducer that we connected to the trolling motor and a GTS 54 transducer underneath the actual trolling motor itself. This guy runs all my live scope and my down and side imaging. It was decently inexpensive, but I ended up buying this with all the stuff, I think for like $900 on Facebook. But then to hold all that stuff was all custom stuff that you guys can get from Tiny Boat Nation. We have a recessed foot pedal. This thing is awesome. Nate hooked that one up. You guys can get these right on the website if you want one yourself. We cut it right into the deck, dropped it in. It's in the other videos. And then you have this awesome graph mount with all the tool accessories. This guy right here holds your drink in the morning, and it holds, as you guys can see, a pair of pliers and a pair of scissors. I'm always rigging up in the front. So this thing is solid. It's fully powder coated aluminum. There's not too many great graph mounts out there for these things on the market for an affordable price. So make sure you check those out on the website as well. Super, super pumped. This was a great way to make the front of the boat look good, but also function very well. The other things that we added to the very front were a couple of switch panels. This boat was super easy to run wires through in comparison to the Bass Cat. So all I did was add a switch to turn on my electronics here, my trolling motor, and then I even put a switch in for deck lights. So you guys will see I have a red LED strip all the way around. That guy was 30 bucks on Amazon, and I love that feature. After all that up front, we have this massive front deck. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole boat. Being a bass fisherman, you really appreciate the deck space. So we have 1, 2, 3 main compartments. All of the compartments and hatches were completely redone by Nate over in Tiny Boat Nation. They used to be some weird composite fiberglass. They were all cracked. They had soft spots in them and things like that. So Nate and his team came in and they made all custom fabricated aluminum hatches. I mean, listen to this. Completely waterproof. They are powder coated white, and they are just a great upgrade for the deck. I mean, there's no components that could really go wrong at this point in the front deck. So you guys will see I have a rod locker here. I added struts to it so we can open and close it very nicely. Right here in the middle, we have our tackle compartment that I love. I also put struts on that guy. There's a ton of space for all the tackle you could imagine. Love that about this boat. And then over here, we have another one that is just miscellaneous. Honestly, I kind of need to get all my stuff in it still. We haven't really got this thing on the water yet. I have a black box mounted up here for the live scope. The more storage, the better. But the whole front deck has brand new sea deck. You guys can see my logos on it and such, and all custom aluminum hatches. Massive upgrade. It isn't exactly the cheapest way to go, but we'll get to that towards the end of the video. So that's about it for the front deck. Now let's take you guys down into the cockpit. In the cockpit, we'll start on the driver's side. This is something that I'm really proud of. I did a lot of this work myself, fully custom, and I didn't think it would turn out this good. The original dash was a mess. Everything was completely cracked, broken. The only thing original here is the actual console like cutout. Plastic was super sun faded. We were able to bring the color back with this stuff right here. It was like Armor All and this Car Guys plastic restorer. This stuff works super well. You just rub it on here and it really brought all the sun fade out and brought a lot of color back into the original console. So super pumped about that because these things are not cheap to replace. Going from there, you guys will see we have another Garmin. This is another 93 SV that I added on here. You guys know the price of these. I bought it brand new at Bass Pro. I believe it was like 700 bucks. From there, I'm running a GT56 upgraded transducer in the rear for all side imaging and down imaging. And then what's holding it on is a custom graph mount by Tiny Boat Nation and a custom dash panel that was also made by Tiny Boat Nation. Down from that, we have a custom steering wheel. I bought that guy on Amazon for like 100 bucks. I just wanted to jazz it up, change it up, and we went with that guy. And then you guys will see another little screen off to the right of that graph. The little screen that you see there is actually an amplifier for a Bluetooth radio. I wanted a way to have music in here, and a company a while ago actually sent me some wakeboard tower speakers. So I got a little creative and I mounted one of those speakers underneath the console in the boat. All of that draws right back to the iPad that we installed here. I can run Spotify off this guy, bump my speaker. And if you guys are wondering why we have the iPad here, there was a lot of mixed emotions about this decision. The main purpose for this iPad was to run all my gauges from my Mercury vessel view that's connected to my motor. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it. Guys, I think it's cool, and I'm gonna do what I wanna do with my boat. So beneath the iPad, you guys will see I have these blank gauges. I bought these guys on Amazon for like 6 bucks. I thought it looked way cleaner to just fill in those holes as opposed to putting just gauges that don't work in there. And then beneath that, I have another custom dash panel. This was something that was super duper hard with this boat, and I'm ecstatic with the way that it came out. You guys will notice here that the shape of the dash is very weird. It's not flat, it's not round. It's a completely odd custom shape that Stratos put in for the original dashboard. Well, that dash was completely cracked and there was no replacing it. No matter how hard I looked on the internet, I couldn't find a replacement for it. So what we ended up doing was taking the original, cutting it completely out, and then I found this switch panel on Amazon in which I fabricated it in there so that we could have a vertical switch panel. This switch panel does just about all the electronics in the boat, from live wells to master power to radios to my horn to just about you name it, it's wired in there. We even have a place to hook up your phone if you need to charge it. Now on the passenger side, we didn't change that much either. This might be the most original piece of the boat, but the console stayed the same thing. We rubbed it down with the Armor All and the Car Guys plastic restorer. There's nothing really crazy going on here. I have some GoPro mounts so that we can make some fishing videos, and we have the original. We have a glove box that I put a new button on so that we could lock it. And then you guys will notice, this is probably the only thing that's actually broken on the boat. This is the original visor for like wind. It was cracked and broken, and for the life of me, I cannot find one on the internet as well. I'll figure that out one of these days. And if you guys have one that you can send me, let me know. Everything here is pretty plain Jane and original. Could probably be cleaned up a little bit better, but another cool thing about this boat is we actually have a secondary passenger rod locker where you can put right up here down the side of the boat. So pretty cool. Nothing crazy, but it's a place for my passenger to sit and fish. And then the final thing in the cockpit, which was the biggest change for the whole boat overall, are the seats and the center console that we just put in. These seats were the ugliest thing on the whole boat. They were duct taped, they were waterlogged, the upholstery was completely ruined. Threw out all the original seats and we replaced them with these custom ones right here. If you guys didn't see the last video, I bought Amazon bucket seats for a car and cut them in half and had my mom essentially reupholster the fabric that was from those seats into what you guys see here. I haven't put the thing on the water yet to actually sit in them and use them, but for the most part, they look good, and I really hope they will last because this saved me a ton of money. Said and done, these seats cost me 250 bucks for the both of them, as opposed to finding bass boat seats that ran upwards of $2,000 for this particular boat. Now we have the rear deck in the boat. There's more than enough space to fish 1 or 2 people back here. We redid everything back here as well. Every single lid is fully custom, powder coated aluminum with supports, just like the front. These are all storage for life jackets, safety gear, things like that. There's more than enough storage in this boat, but one of my favorite things that we did was this custom live well. You guys will see back here, we have a fully aluminum custom live well with a flow right system and a powder coated splash guard. This would not have been possible if it weren't for Tiny Boat Nation as well. Nate and his boys hooked that up. When I brought them the boat, I wanted something changed with the live well. The original one that was in here was maybe big enough to fit a couple bass. It made no sense to me why it was so small. So I brought the boat to Nate and I was like, hey man, make me the biggest possible live well you can, and that's exactly what he did. So I'm super excited to put a 5 fish limit in there. And then aside from all that, you guys will notice that we have sea deck back here as well. It's all custom. I did what I wanted to do. People might be wondering what Vivere Bene means. It actually means live well in Italian. It was kind of a play on words, like live well, but like live well. I don't know, I thought it was fun. So I know that was quick, but that wraps about all the interior things that we did to the boat. Don't worry, I'll go more into detail about the sea deck and the aluminum hatches, like how much that cost and what that entailed, etc., towards the end of the video. But I thought I'd take you guys to the back of the boat and go over this bad boy right here. When I bought this boat, there was no assurance that this motor even ran. The spark plugs were completely rusted in there. I could barely get them out, and the compression was giving me weird numbers. Ultimately, when I bought this boat, I was hesitant just on the fact that this 200 horsepower Mercury did not work. I replaced all the spark plugs, did a basic tune-up, changed out all the unit oils, things like that. And after we did that, got some fresh gas in it and oil, it ended up firing right up. Now, when it came to the motor peeing, that was a mystery for a while. Tried replacing water pumps, impellers, all that stuff, and it did not make a difference. Come to find out, it ended up being the muffs that we were using on the boat for why it wasn't peeing. So the motor does pee, it does run, but we have yet to do a full-on test on the water, which is gonna be coming in the next video. But this was a huge stress reliever for me, as I did not wanna get into a boat with a bad motor. This thing looked rough, it was sun faded, the stickers were falling off. I cannot believe that the motor ended up turning out to look this beautiful after a fresh ceramic coat and some new decals. So behind the boat itself, we are pushing a 200 horsepower Mercury Optimax. I am hoping and praying this thing lasts me a couple seasons, but you guys are gonna have to find out in the next video how this thing actually performs on the water. So now the moment you guys have been waiting for. How much did doing this actually cost? Now, I honestly haven't totaled this up yet, so you guys are gonna find out with me here. I'm gonna give you all the basic expenses to give you guys a general idea of what it costs, starting off with the boat itself. I originally bought the boat on Facebook Marketplace for $3,000. That included the trailer, the body of the boat, and the motor. All the electronics within the boat, I'm talking the Garmin's, the iPad, all the miscellaneous things for that, transducers, live scope, all of that, cost me just shy of $3,000. From there, all the things within the boat, we had the decals and the tune-up. That cost me about $100. And then on top of that, we have a Mercury Vessel View mounted inside that motor, which was about another $250. In the cockpit, we paid $100 for the steering wheel and $250 for the seats. A lot of the accessories were donated to me by Tiny Boat Nation, like the graph mount and stuff like that, and the recessed foot pedal. So I'm not gonna include that in the total. But the last thing that we have that is really gonna make or break the bank is the sea deck and all the aluminum panels. For me to get the fully custom sea deck and all the aluminum hatches, in total costs roughly $8,000. Now, I know that seems like a lot. Also, this is a 19-foot bass boat, so I'm assuming smaller boats that get this kind of work done is gonna be a different price. But for me to do what I did here was roughly $8,000. When you add all those things together, we get a whopping total of $14,700. I mean, that was me buying a boat and doing a complete full-on makeover on it. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but in retrospect, if you were to go buy this boat brand new from a dealership, I would imagine it would cost you anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 depending on what you guys go with. Bass boats are not cheap, as you guys know, and I'm in a fully rigged up bass boat with a 200 horsepower Mercury for $14,700. And truthfully, guys, I would not have been able to do anything like this if it wasn't for Tiny Boat Nation. So again, huge shout out to Mike and Nate over there. I never dreamt of owning something at this caliber on my salary ever. So it's not that it's not possible, it's just hard, man. Living the YouTube life is very tough, and you got to rely on good people to succeed in this business. It's very, very tough to do. I make literally nothing off these videos. Everything that I make goes right back into this stuff just so you guys can view it at home. And somehow my wife hasn't divorced me yet, even though it's only been a week. But we'll see what happens here in the next year. But boom, there you guys have it. I would argue that this is one of the most epic boat builds ever done here on YouTube with a restored fiberglass bass boat. I'm sitting in front of a 2006 Stratos 294 Pro XL, completely ready to hit the water. So make sure you guys stay tuned. In the next video, we're gonna get out there, we're gonna do a speed test and actually find out if I got my money's worth out of this thing right here. Pretty crazy to think about. We did 14 grand worth of work to this boat right here, and it hasn't touched H2O. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the water test of this boat.